There's a quiet lie sitting at the center of retirement planning. It doesn't scream and it doesn't look dangerous. In fact, it often shows up sounding responsible, careful, even wise. But once you see it clearly, you won't be able to unsee it. Before we continue, if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, this would be a really good time to do it. I've got a lot more of these waiting for you. The real question isn't, do pensions matter? It's whether your income can support your life with less stress, more stability, and more peace. Most people walk into retirement focused on account balances. They look at their 401k, their IRA, their savings, and they ask, is this enough? And if the number doesn't feel big enough, they feel behind, even if they have something incredibly valuable sitting right in front of them. The goal of retirement is not wealth, it's income. Let that sink in. Not the size of the pile, not the bragging rights, not whether your number sounds impressive at dinner. What matters is simple. When the paycheck from work stops, does enough money keep showing up to support the life you actually live? That is where pensions make a difference. Think of retirement like a house. Most people spend years staring at the furniture. They think about the couch, the table, the paint, the big flat screen. In retirement terms, that's your savings. That's the account balance everybody can see. But your income floor, the money that keeps coming in month after month, is the foundation under the house. Strong, underground, invisible, but holding everything up. Your savings are important, yes. But they sit on top of something else. Most people are trying to decorate the furniture while ignoring whether the foundation is solid. And here's the thing. Most people are being told they are behind when they're not. A pension is not flashy. It doesn't make headlines. It doesn't give you that exciting feeling of checking a big investment account after a good market day. It's quieter than that. It's the invisible asset. It sits there, often undervalued, because it doesn't look like a giant number on a statement. But month after month, invisibly, steadily, it does the heavy lifting that many people with much larger savings are still searching for. So let's make this real. Let's meet two people. The first one, let's call him Frank. Frank is 67. He spent over 3 decades working a steady, dependable job. Nothing flashy, no big windfalls, just consistency. If you saw him walking down the street, you wouldn't think, there goes someone financially secure. You might actually think the opposite. Frank lives in a modest home, he drives an older car, and if you looked strictly at his savings, you'd probably panic for him, because Frank has around $140,000 saved. By the standards you've been taught, Frank is behind. But here's what you don't see when you only look at that number. Frank has a monthly pension. He has Social Security income. His home is fully paid off. Every single month, without touching his savings, money shows up, consistently, predictably. Frank is not struggling. Frank is not stressed. Frank is living a life that works. Now let's meet Gary. Gary did everything right, at least according to the rules he was given. He saved aggressively. He invested diligently. He followed the benchmarks. And today, Gary has $800,000 saved. On paper, Gary is a success story. But Gary doesn't feel like one. Gary still has a mortgage. Gary doesn't have a pension. Gary relies heavily on his investment account to fund his life. Every market fluctuation feels personal. Gary has more money than Frank, but less peace. It's not about who has more saved. It's about who has more certainty. Now listen, this is where people miss the whole story. They treat a pension like a side note. They call it nice to have. They mention it quickly and move on to the real money. But for many retirees, the pension is the real money. It's the piece that quietly erodes fear before fear even starts. It's the part that keeps you from waking up every time the market drops and wondering if you should cancel the trip, delay the dental work, or stop helping your grandkids. A pension is like owning a small paycheck machine. You don't have to guess what it might do next month. You don't have to hope it behaves. It just shows up. And when that monthly deposit lands without you touching your portfolio, something changes in your body. Your shoulders drop. Your mind calms down. Numbers matter, but how you feel about those numbers, that matters just as much. Here's a question. If you had to choose between more money or more certainty, which would it be? Keep that in your head as we go. Now let's talk about Social Security, because this is where the conversation gets even more interesting. Think of your benefit like a faucet. Behind that faucet is a pipe, one you've been filling your entire working life. Every paycheck, every tax contribution, it all builds pressure in that pipe. Now here's how it works. The longer you wait to turn the faucet on, the stronger the pressure becomes. Wait until 70, the flow is stronger. Turn it on at 62, the flow is lighter. That part is true. But here's the part most people don't think about. That faucet belongs to you. You paid into it, and if you wait too long to turn it on, some of that water never reaches you. It just stays in the pipe, unused, gone. That's why the question isn't what's the best age. It's what's the best decision for your life right now. For many people, the loudest advice is always the same. Wait, delay, max it out, get the biggest monthly check possible. And yes, waiting can absolutely make sense. If your health is good, if longevity runs in your family, if your spouse would be protected by a larger survivor benefit, waiting can be smart. But there's a quiet lie hidden inside one-size-fits-all advice. Bigger is not always better if bigger arrives too late, or if getting bigger forces you to drain other assets in a way that increases your stress. This is where a pension changes the whole math. If you have a pension, your faucet decision is different from someone with no pension, because now you already have one stream of reliable income, maybe even two if your spouse has one too. That means claiming Social Security earlier might make sense for some people, because the pension already built part of the floor. Or maybe it gives you the freedom to wait because your bills are already covered. See the difference? The same Social Security choice can feel completely different depending on whether a pension is sitting quietly underneath it. And this is why generic retirement advice quietly chip away at people's confidence. It treats everyone like the same person, but you are not the same as the person next door. Your health is different, your bills are different, your marriage is different, your pension, or lack of one, changes the game. The Social Security Administration makes this plain in its own rules. You can claim as early as 62. If your full retirement age is 67, claiming at 62 means a smaller monthly benefit. Waiting after full retirement age increases that monthly amount up to age 70, and then the increase stops. That's useful to know. But knowledge is not the same as wisdom. Wisdom is asking what role that benefit needs to play in your life. If your pension already covers most of your needs, you may not need Social Security to carry the full load. If you have no pension and you need every extra dollar of guaranteed income you can get, delaying may buy you more lifetime calm than almost anything else, especially if you're married, because the larger check can affect what a surviving spouse gets to keep later. Here's a question for the married folks. Have you and your spouse ever actually talked about what happens if one of you is gone? That conversation matters more than people want to admit. Picture a two-seat rowboat. As long as both people are rowing, the boat moves one way. But if one person is gone, the boat doesn't just get sad. It changes shape. The weight shifts. The balance changes. Retirement income works like that too. One Social Security check may go away. A pension may continue in full, in part, or sometimes not at all, depending on the option chosen. Household bills may drop a little, but not by half. The electric bill still shows up. Property taxes still show up. The roof still leaks if it wants to. So when people ask, do pensions make a difference? The answer is yes, but not only while both spouses are alive. The bigger question is how that pension behaves later. Does it include a survivor option? Does it continue for your spouse? Was a smaller monthly amount chosen now so that your husband or wife is protected later? These aren't small details. These are the quiet decisions that shape whether the surviving spouse feels secure or suddenly exposed. And then there's inflation, the silent eroder. Think of inflation like rust on a truck. You don't usually notice it in one afternoon. It creeps, it nudges, it slowly raises the price of groceries, healthcare, insurance, repairs, travel, all the ordinary stuff that makes up a real life. Then one day you look up and realize the same money doesn't go nearly as far. That is why a pension with no cost of living increase is still valuable, but it is not magical. It gives certainty, yes, but that certainty may buy less over time. Social Security does have annual cost of living adjustments, which helps, but even that has limits. Those adjustments are tied to an official inflation measure. Real life doesn't always move in a way that feels neat and equal. Your medical costs may rise faster. Your insurance may rise faster. Your property taxes may rise faster. So COLA helps, but it doesn't make you invincible. It's not pessimism. It's realism. And in this case, realism isn't negative. It's empowering. Because once you understand that your pension is one strong beam in the house and Social Security is another, You stop expecting your savings to do every job at once. I want you to imagine your retirement in two parts, not one big number, two distinct piles. Pile 1, income that shows up no matter what. This includes things like Social Security, pensions, rental income. Money that continues whether the market is up or down. Pile 2, your savings, your investments, your accounts. Now here's the critical mistake most people make. They focus almost entirely on Pile 2, while barely acknowledging Pile 1. And yet, Pile 1 is often doing far more heavy lifting than people realize. You may already have what people with millions are searching for. That is not a motivational line. That is a practical line. Because what many wealthy retirees are trying to create with complicated withdrawal strategies, bond ladders, annuities, and cash buffers is the thing a pension already gives you by default. Predictable income, a base, a floor. A way to know the lights stay on even when the market has a tantrum. What do you think? Are most people actually behind on retirement, or are they just measuring it wrong? Now let's talk about the big number myth, the sticker price myth, the one that silently erodes confidence before retirement even begins. Imagine walking onto a car lot. Every vehicle has a sticker price, bold, official, intimidating. It looks final, non-negotiable. But if you've ever bought a car, you already know the truth. Nobody pays the sticker. There are hidden discounts, dealer incentives, timing advantages, negotiation room. The real price is almost always lower. But the sticker exists to anchor your expectations, to make you feel like anything below it is a win, even if you're still overpaying. Now take that exact same system and apply it to retirement. That giant $1 million plus number people throw around. That's your sticker price. It's not that savings don't matter. They do, deeply. But the sticker price story ignores pensions. It ignores paid-off homes. It ignores lower spending needs. It ignores the fact that retirement isn't about replacing your old salary dollar for dollar. It's about supporting your actual lifestyle. And most people underestimate expenses by a lot in some areas while overestimating them in others. They assume work expenses will disappear, which some do, but they forget health care, repairs, helping family, gifts, travel, hobbies, or just the simple truth that being home more often can cost more than expected. Then on the other side, they may assume they need a gigantic amount of savings because someone online said that's the number, even though part of their lifestyle is already being covered by guaranteed income. This is where clarity matters more than comparison. And let me say this as clearly as I can. You are not behind. In fact, you may already be standing on one of the strongest financial foundations available today. If you have a pension, especially alongside Social Security, you have something many people with much bigger balances do not have. You have predictability. You have structure. You have a defense against panic. Now, that doesn't mean you get to ignore the rest. Savings still matter. Flexibility still matters. Emergency reserves still matter. But the emotional story changes when your monthly basics are mostly covered before you ever touch your portfolio. Think of sequence of returns risk, like trying to pull bricks from the bottom of a stack while the table is shaking. If the market drops early in retirement and you're forced to keep withdrawing from savings to pay your bills, you can do more damage than you realize. That's sequence risk. It simply means bad market timing early on can hurt more when you're taking money out. But when a pension or Social Security is covering a larger share of your bills, you don't have to pull as many bricks during the storm. You give the rest of the stack time to settle. Frank understands this, even if he wouldn't use the fancy term. Gary feels it every time the market drops 2% in a week and he starts recalculating his future in his head. Quick question. Have you ever felt guilty about spending money in retirement? That feeling shows up more than you think. And it often shows up more for the people living off savings than for the people living off income. Why? Because spending from a portfolio can feel like cutting pieces off a cake and watching it get smaller. Spending pension income feels different. Spending Social Security feels different. Even when the dollars are the same, the emotional experience is not the same. Numbers matter, but how you feel about those numbers, that matters just as much. That's why a pension does more than pay bills. It can quietly reduce regret. It can reduce second guessing. It can help a retiree actually enjoy retirement instead of guarding every dollar like a nervous lifeguard watching the tide. And there's one more trap here. People rely too hard on rough calculators. A calculator is like looking at your house through a keyhole. You see something, but not everything. Social Security tools can help. They can show estimates. They can show how claiming at 62 differs from claiming at 67 or 70. But people get in trouble when they treat a rough estimate like a promise. That's one reason these tools and the way they're presented have changed over time. Estimates are useful, but your real plan needs context. Work history matters. Spousal benefits matter. Taxes matter. Medicare matters. Pension choices matter. A simple screen number is not your retirement. It is just a clue. So if you've ever opened a calculator, seen a number, and felt your stomach drop, slow down. That number may not be the whole story. Stop measuring yourself against everyone else. Stop feeling behind and start focusing on what truly gives you freedom. I want to know, have you ever felt like you were doing everything right but still felt behind? You are not alone. That feeling is everywhere, and a lot of it comes from looking at retirement backward. People ask, how much do I need saved? A better question is, how much of my life is already paid for by reliable income? That one question can change everything. If your housing is mostly covered, if your pension covers a meaningful share of your bills, if Social Security closes much of the remaining gap, then your savings no longer need to be enormous. They need to be useful. They need to be available. They need to create breathing room. That is a very different burden. You don't need perfection to have a successful retirement. You need clarity. Here's what I want you to do. Start with your income floor, not your hoped-for number, not your best-case number, your real number. What money is coming in every month no matter what? Social Security, pensions, rental income, anything steady and predictable. Write that down. That number matters more than you've been told. Then look at your actual spending, not what you guess you spend, not what some retirement article says you should spend. Look at the last year of your real life. Housing, food, insurance, gas, healthcare, gifts, travel, the little leaks that quietly chip away at cash flow. Most people think they know this number. Fewer actually do. Then find the gap. What's the difference between what comes in and what goes out? That gap is what your savings need to cover, not some giant benchmark, not some sticker price number floating around online. Just the gap. After that, pressure test your pension. Does it have a survivor option? Does it increase with inflation or stay flat? If it stays flat, how will that feel 10 or 15 years from now if costs keep creeping up? If you're married, sit down together and ask the uncomfortable question now while both of you can still plan from a place of strength. What happens if one of you is gone? Which checks stay? Which ones shrink? Which bills remain? That conversation may feel heavy for an hour, but it can prevent years of fear later. And then build a buffer, not a fantasy. Don't aim for just enough. Aim for enough plus breathing room, a little extra cash, a repair fund, a medical cushion, a travel cushion if that matters to you. Retirement feels very different when every surprise does not become a crisis. If you do those things, something amazing happens. Retirement stops feeling like one giant mystery number and starts feeling like a monthly system you can actually understand. That's the shift. From staring at a pile to understanding a paycheck, from comparing yourself to strangers to understanding your own life. From fear to clarity. Because retirement isn't the end of something. It's the beginning of something new. A new rhythm, a new pace, a new way of living. And the goal isn't just to survive it. The goal is to enjoy it, to wake up without financial stress, to make decisions without fear, to live with confidence, not hesitation. If the system only rewards you with almost enough, you will spend your entire life chasing more. But if you understand your numbers, if you build your income, if you define your life on your terms, you don't chase anymore. You decide. And that's the shift from fear to clarity, from chasing to choosing, from not enough to enough. And that is why pensions make a difference. Not because they make you rich on paper, because they can make you steady in real life, because they can protect your sleep, because they can give your savings room to breathe, because they can turn retirement from a math problem into a life that works. If this resonated with you, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.